Welcome to the Build Business Acumen podcast, where we deliver practical knowledge and powerful guidance. Here is your futuristic host, Nathaniel.
And in this conversation, I will be discussing why you need resilience to achieve your goals. And I'm very fortunate to be joined by Nelly Shein, who is an expert in this area. So Nelly, lovely to speak with you again, and really interested in talking with you about setting goals, really.
Yes, thank you, Nat, for having me. Yes, setting goals. I think there are as many books out there that you find straws in the lawn. There are so many books talking about setting goals, and yet people, they do it on New Year's Eve. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you're coming back just at Easter, which is a very short time, really. Most people have already left those goals. They think that, no, it wasn't the right goal after all, and I want to do something different. So, of course, we are then changing our mind the whole time. And there is nothing as dangerous as a mind that can't make up its mind, meaning that if we're changing our goals the whole time, we will never fulfill them.
Yeah.
We need to stay focused and go for what we've decided to go. Yes, circumstances can change around us, but if you look in hindsight, you will see that those changes, they actually occurred because of the goal that you decided to make and to stay with. And when your circumstances then changed, you then thought, no, I'm not going to do this. So that work had already started to fulfill your goals by changing your circumstances. But then you changed your mind. So then it didn't happen. So the mind is forever and ever trying to obey your direction wherever you want to go. But you need to stay focused. You need to stick to what you know and what you have decided if you want to achieve anything. And that goes for business goals or personal goals with weight or smoking, drinking, whatever you decide to do. But if you don't stay focused, nothing will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, for me, I went through a sort of goal setting process with Kim, but it was more about a vision. It was about having a 5-year vision of where I want to be in 5 years. And then staying focused on that vision, which I personally think the goals come after you've created the vision. That's how I've learned how to set goals. I never really had a plan before, but I'm well on my way to kind of reaching a lot of those goals already. And it's only been, you know, just over a year, right? But resilience has been absolutely fundamental in that journey, because I think there's this hesitancy, isn't there, to turn back, and you know, there's a very famous poem by Goethe, I think it is, that talks about hesitancy. And if you were resilient, then I think that perhaps you wouldn't be as hesitant to head towards the goals that you really want to face and get over the roadblocks that will appear, because you're going to have problems on the way. It's just that it's the nature of life. Life does that, because it's almost like you need to learn certain new skills in order to get to the goal that you have set. So you get a roadblock that comes along, which will teach you something. That's what I usually find.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on all of those opinions. First and foremost, about the vision. I mean, first you have this vague idea about that you're going to do something, and then you work with it so that you can actually see something. What are you going to do? And as you said, after that, the goal comes, because you need to specify you need to be very clear about what you want to do. And as I say to people, especially coaching clients, that you need to write down your goals. You can't just have a vague idea that I am going to be rich, I'm going to be a millionaire. It needs to be very precise, written down and looked at minimum twice a day. And then you can think, oh, I don't really have the energy for that. Well, it's the same amount of time that it takes for you to brush your teeth twice a day. It's not any longer, but write it down and then read it and work with it. And coming back to visual, if you can visualize sitting down and think about your goal, you're going to speed up this process enormously.
Yeah.
So it is a bit like having a garden. Well, if you're going to, you can take the seeds and then you can watch the plant grows very slowly, or you can actually buy a plant that is actually has grown a bit, and then you can see how your garden is really taking form. And this is the same thing. That is what visual, to sit down and do that, that is the same as speeding up your garden, because that is the energy that your goals needs in order to grow and actually come into fruition. Because it will. If you do the work, there is no way it can go in any other way. So it may not turn out exactly in the way you were thinking, but if you look at the goal, if you read your goal, you are going to discover that the sentence that you wrote there is actually exactly the same thing that has happened. It was just that if it differs a bit, it is because your writing wasn't clear enough, but your goal is fulfilled exactly to your description.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can believe that completely, and writing it down, it makes such a difference. It makes a massive difference. There's been huge studies into that, and the people that actually achieve goals are generally the ones that have written them down. Absolutely, and it's so resilience is important. Obtaining what you want to obtain, but it's also important to keep you on the right track, right? So you're gonna continue down the right path if you are resilient to the challenges that come along, right?
Absolutely. I mean, resilience, that is really a help. That helps you to overcome, to achieve what you want to achieve. If you didn't have resilience, you would not succeed. And resilience can then be, of course, divided to different elements that we will not go into today, but it can be divided. So if you are practicing what we have talked about previously, either that you have some physical exercises, that you're reading, that you're doing meditation, that you're out in the nature, giving it enough energy and thoughts, because your thoughts, your thoughts comes before your goals come into fruition. So whatever you can think, and this has many philosophers talked about, whatever you can think, you can also create.
Absolutely. And I think the key with being resilient is that you use the tools that you have to stay away from the emotions that are going to take you off track from the goals that you've basically set. That's what we're talking about here, really, is just being able to control your emotions enough so you don't take the wrong actions. I think that's really how I think resilience works in this context.
Absolutely, it does. And the more you practice resilience, the stronger your own force will be. But as we talked about before, everything needs to be practiced. If we don't practice, nothing will really happen, not a lot at least. So if you look at people who constantly fulfill their goals, and even they fulfill other people's goals because they bring them with them, they have been practice resilience for decades.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I look forward to the next conversation around this topic. And thanks everyone for listening. I'm Nathaniel Schooler, and I'm signing off. Thank you, Nelly.
Thank you, Nat.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe, and wherever you prefer, share with your friends. And if you enjoyed the show, drop us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen.